I'm happy to have you back as we look at price elasticity of demand and supply. And my name is Sophia. And let us jump straight to the topic on price elasticity. What is price elasticity? Price elasticity measures the responsiveness of the quantity demanded or supplied of a commodity to a change in its price. And this is normally computed as a percentage change in quantity demanded or supplied divided by the percentage change in price. We know that both demand and supply curves show the relationship between price and the number of units demanded or supplied. And therefore, price elasticity brings out the ratio between the percentage change in the quantity demanded and the corresponding percentage change in price. Let us look at two methods that we can use to calculate price elasticity. Our first one is the midpoint method. And this one uses percentage changes in quantity and price to calculate elasticity. One advantage of the midpoint method is that we can get the same elasticity between 2 points, whether there is price increase or decrease. And this is because the formula uses the same base for both cases, that is in the decrease of price or increase of price. And this method is sometimes called the arc elasticity. Now, the midpoint elasticity simply takes the new quantity, you subtract the initial quantity, and you divide by the average of both the new and the initial quantity. And that will give you the percentage change in quantity. Remember, price elasticity is the percentage change in quantity over percentage change in price. Therefore, we divide by the percentage change in price, which is also the similar. We take the new price, we subtract the initial price, and we divide by the average of both new and the initial price, and we multiply by 100. We will see this in illustrations ahead. The other method we use in calculating price elasticity is using the point method. And the reason we prefer the point method, it is because midpoint sometimes has a drawback. And this is because as the 2 points get further apart, the elasticity value loses its meaning. And for this reason, then we use the point elasticity, or because it is a very direct, and all you need to know is that what values represent the initial values and what values represent the new values. Therefore, point elasticity, you calculate by getting the new quantity, subtract the initial quantity over initial quantity to get a percentage change in quantity, and you divide by percentage change in price, which is the new price, subtract the initial price over initial price. Now, let's go to the illustrations and apply the formulas to a practice scenario. We'll calculate elasticity between 2 points, point A and B. And our graph shows a downward sloping line that represents the price elasticity of demand. And price has reduced from 20 to 10 as per our graph. So we are calculating between A and B. We remember price elasticity is a ratio to show change in quantity demanded and percentage change over percentage change in price. Therefore, using the midpoint method, our formula for midpoint elasticity, we get the new quantity, subtract the initial quantity, and divide by the average of the two quantities, and the same with the price, you multiply by 100. Therefore, by using the figures that are on our graph, we get a percentage change in quantity that will be 67%. And using the price figures in our graph, we get the percentage change in price, which is negative 67. And we calculate our price elasticity by using the above, the percentage change in quantity over percentage change in price to get a negative 1. Why negative 1? Price elasticities of demand are always negative. And this is because price and quantity demanded always move in opposite directions on the demand curve. As you recall, according to the law of demand, price and quantity demanded are inversely related. And by convention, we always talk about elasticities as positive numbers. However, in calculations or mathematically, we take the absolutes of the results. For example, from this calculation or illustration, we see that a -1 means a price drop of 1 will be equals to an increase in quantity of 1, or a 1% increase in quantity will means there is a 1% decrease in price. Let us look at another example of calculating price elasticity. We have a graph with 2 points, point A and B. It's a sloping curve that shows price drop from 20 to 10. And those are our 2 points, and they are different quantities. Now, using the point method, remember, point elasticity equals to new quantity minus initial quantity over initial quantity divided by new price minus initial price divided by initial price. Now, with this graph, our price elasticity, we take the figures and follow mathematical formula to get a -3.3. What does that mean? This means every 1% change in price will result to an increase of 3.3% of quantity. Note, a decrease in price of 1% will result in an increase in quantity of 3.3%. Now, let us look at the categories of price elasticity. Our first one is elastic. Elastic demand or supply curve indicates that the quantity demanded or supplied responds to price changes in greater than proportional manner. That means they are very responsive. It is subdivided into two. We have the perfect elastic, whose price elasticity is infinite, and elastic, whose price elasticity is greater than 1. An elastic demand or elastic supply is one in which the elasticity is greater than 1, and this indicates a high responsiveness to changes in price, whereas a perfectly elastic means the response to price is complete and infinite. That is, a change in price will result in quantity falling to 0. Therefore, a perfect elastic demand curve will be a straight line, a horizontal straight line on a graph. The market demand for a product is directly tied to the price of the products. Therefore, if the price elasticity of demand is bigger than 1, then the demand for the product will be elastic. If price elasticity of demand is higher than 1, then the percentage change in the quantity demanded is greater than the percentage change in price. Let us look at a graph. A perfectly elastic supply graph, as indicated, is infinite, where the quantity supplied is unlimited at a given price, but there is no quantity that can be supplied at any other price. And an example of an elastic supply curve is then a supply of non-necessities, such as soft drinks, where there are many substitutes and choices. A drastic change in price in one of these commodities will have a toll on the supply, since consumers will simply opt for the substitute product. And we discussed about the curve for demand that has a horizontal line. Why? Because simply a change in price means the consumers will shift to another product. An inelastic demand, on the other hand, is one where a given percentage change in price will cause a smaller percentage change in quantity demanded or supplied. So there is very little response. It is also subdivided to two. We have inelastic, whose percentage change is less than 1, and perfectly inelastic, whose percentage changes is 0. Inelastic demand means that when the price goes up, consumers' buying habits stay about the same. And when the price goes down, they neither change. And this especially is seen in utilities or prescription drugs. And in an inelastic one, it is whereby there's a change of less than 1, indicating very low responsiveness to price. A perfectly inelastic means that there is no change in quantity at all when price changes. For example, gas. Everyone needs to buy petrol for their car, and it does not matter what price is in the market, they'll still have to buy that petrol to get to work. Those are the graphs for supply. One is perfectly inelastic, whereby the quantity does not change despite the change in price. And the other one is inelastic, that shows very little response to changes in price. The same, similar graph for demand. A perfectly inelastic demand, it does not change with changes in price, where else inelastic has very little response to the changes in price. Lastly, we have unitary elasticity. And this indicates proportional responsiveness of either demand or supply. Therefore, price elasticity A equals to 1. And a good example, product demand is unitary elastic if 10% change in its price will lead to a 10% change in the quantity customers desire. And most of these products, a price reduction may not motivate customers to request more product units. Again, unitary elasticity, it means that a given percentage change in price will lead to an equal percentage change in quantity demanded or supplied. And we have our supply curve there and demand curve. And for example, if a product supply is unitary, if a 15% change in its price will lead to a 15% change in the quantity supplied. And in this case, as we've said, a price reduction will increase demand, and it is likely to reduce the supply. That is it from me today, but I look forward to having you on marginal utility video that is coming up next.